Pope Leo XIV, already changed things no one thought possible, faster than anyone expected. And tonight, we reveal the 10 shifts that will shake your faith, your hope, your very view of the Church itself. First, out of nowhere, he made a powerful appointment. On September 26, 2025, Pope Leo chose Archbishop Filippo Iannone as prefect of the Dicastery for Bishops, a role that decides who becomes the shepherds of millions worldwide. Think about it. One man's decision, reshaping the entire future of the Church. But that's just the beginning. While faithful Catholics prayed, the Vatican was quietly battling something darker. Hundreds of fake, AI-generated images of Pope Leo flooding the internet. Deepfakes, lies, illusions. The Vatican struggles to erase them, yet more appear every single day. Is it just technology, or is it warfare aimed at the very heart of the Church? And then, the Pope turned to the unseen battle. He spoke to the exorcists, calling their ministry necessary, delicate. His words weren't just encouragement, they were a warning. Evil is real. The fight is real, and Rome knows it. Still, in the middle of storms, Pope Leo chose hope. Sitting with the Jesuit editors of La Civiltà Cattolica, he urged them, transmit hope, show Christ's gaze to the world, even when the world feels like it's collapsing. Powerful, simple, unforgettable, even the sick have not been forgotten. For 2026, Pope Leo gave us a theme, the compassion of the Samaritan, loving by bearing the pain of the other. Simple words, eternal truth, spoken as if he sees something coming, something the Church must prepare to endure. And in China, he made the boldest move yet. 2 ancient dioceses, Xuanhua and Shiwanzi, were dissolved. A new diocese of Zhangjiakou was born. The Church in Asia is being reshaped right now, and few even realize how massive this change truly is. But these are only the changes already confirmed. The whispers say more is coming. A curial overhaul, entire power blocks merged, dismantled, rebuilt. Cardinals quietly shifted. New bishops raised, old ones removed. Some call it cleansing, others call it judgment. And maybe the greatest shock, some predict he will unveil a global youth and digital mission. Imagine the Vatican on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, reaching millions. Not with politics, but with prophecy. The Pope already warned of AI. Could his next weapon be faith itself? Streamed straight into every phone on Earth? Speculation grows louder. Will he promote hidden names from Asia, Africa, Latin America, unknown bishops suddenly wearing scarlet, tipping the balance of the next conclave? Or could October bring an encyclical so powerful it rattles governments on peace, climate, justice, inequality, words that could spark both applause and outrage, and then the whispers no one dares say aloud, that Pope Leo XIV may carry a prophetic fire, that visions, secrets, even warnings of the Antichrist could soon emerge, not from mystics, but from Peter's own throne. These are the 10 changes, real, rumored, and revealed, that have already begun reshaping the Church. The only question is, how many more are still hidden? The world is watching the Vatican, but only a few truly understand what is happening behind those ancient walls. Pope Leo XIV has already made changes. Yes, real, tangible shifts. But beneath the surface, something far greater stirs. The Catholic Church is moving into a season of fire, of testing, of unveiling. The bride of Christ is being purified, and the signs are no longer subtle. From his very first decisions, Pope Leo showed the world that he is not afraid to cut deep. September 26, 2025, a date that historians may mark as the beginning of a silent revolution. Archbishop Filippo Iannone was placed at the head of the Dicastery for Bishops, the gatekeeper of shepherds, the one who shapes the Church's very leadership. To outsiders, it looked like just another appointment. But to those with eyes to see, it was a signal. A signal that Leo XIV intends to draw the lines, to position his men, to reshape the map of power inside the Church. And almost immediately, darkness struck back. Hundreds of deepfake images of the Pope began to circulate online. Grotesque imitations, designed not just to deceive, but to erode trust, to blur the sacred image of the Vicar of Christ. These were not random glitches of technology. This was spiritual war disguised as pixels and code. The Vatican fights daily to remove them, yet new ones appear, like heads of a serpent that will not die. And many ask, who is behind it? Political enemies? global elites, or secret factions within the Church itself, trying to weaken the Pope before his mission even begins. Then came the moment that sent a chill through every priest who fights unseen battles. Pope Leo gathered the exorcists. His words, necessary, delicate, not casual words, not polite encouragement, but a declaration that the Church's struggle against the demonic is rising to new heights. He knows evil is intensifying. The shadows are not hiding anymore. And the Pope has armed his warriors of deliverance with authority, courage, and warning. Yet, amid the warfare, he speaks of hope. To the Jesuit editors of La Civiltà Cattolica, his command was simple but profound. Transmit hope. Be the eyes of Christ in a world blinded by fear. Tell the faithful that despair is a lie. Why? Because he knows despair is the enemy's favorite weapon. He looks to the suffering, the sick, the forgotten. For the World Day of the Sick 2026, he chose the theme, the compassion of the Samaritan, loving by bearing the pain of the other. These words sound gentle, but they carry fire. They point to a church that will not escape suffering, but must bear it. The bride will not be spared the cross, she must carry it to be purified. And then, China. 2 dioceses dissolved, 1 new diocese born. A hidden but seismic shift. To some it was just paperwork. To the watchful, it was prophecy. The Church in Asia is being tested, realigned, prepared for a storm that is coming. And Pope Leo's fingerprints are all over it. But this is just the beginning. Rumors spread through the Vatican halls like smoke before fire. A curial overhaul, entire congregations dismantled, rebuilt. Whispers of names being prepared for removal. Old factions trembling. New ones rising? A purge of shadows that have hidden too long in the marble corridors, and beyond the marble, onto the glowing screens of the digital world. Yes, the Vatican is preparing a digital crusade. Imagine it, the Pope's voice echoing through TikTok, through Instagram, through platforms once ruled by noise and vanity. He warned of AI, but what if his next weapon? Is faith itself, streamed into every corner of the earth? Speculation grows. Will he promote unknown bishops from far corners of the world? Asia, Africa, Latin America, men whose names no one knows now? But who may one day wear scarlet, enter conclave, and vote for the destiny of the Church? Could October bring encyclicals so bold they shake governments? Words on climate, migration, justice, peace. Could the Pope ignite movements that nations will resist, but heaven will endorse? And deeper still lies the most dangerous rumor that Pope Leo XIV carries within him. A prophetic mantle, that visions, secrets, even warnings of the Antichrist may soon flow from Peter's throne. And if that happens, the world will tremble. For the chair of Peter has been silent about such things for centuries, and silence breaking will sound like thunder. The Catholic Church stands at a crossroads. The papacy itself is under siege from without and within. Inside the Vatican, factions clash. Those who long for compromise, those who fear reform, those who whisper of betrayal. Outside, the world grows colder, darker, hungrier for truth, yet hostile to it. And above it all, Pope Leo XIV moves with deliberate steps, each one shaking foundations, each one watched by heaven, by earth, and by hell itself. These 10 changes, appointments, battles, themes, warnings, whispers, are not just administrative acts. They are signs of purification, signs of judgment, signs that the time of comfort is ending, and the time of truth has begun. The bride of Christ will be tested. The papacy will be shaken. The Church will walk through fire. But the promise remains. The gates of hell shall not prevail. And so we ask, what comes next? What revelation is hidden in October's shadow? What secret will Leo unveil that no one is ready to hear? What prophecy? What encyclical? What divine command will strike the earth like lightning from heaven? Because one thing is certain. Pope Leo XIV has already changed more than anyone imagined. And what he changes next could change everything. The Catholic Church is entering a storm like no other. The papacy itself is standing at the edge of a divine earthquake. Pope Leo XIV, elected with mystery, crowned with silence, has already begun shaking the walls of Rome. Yet what we see on the surface is only the shadow of a deeper battle, a battle between light and darkness, between heaven and hell, between Christ's bride and the dragon who longs to devour her. These changes, they are not random. They are not politics as usual. They are signs. Signs that the time of comfort has ended, and the time of purification has begun. And the bride of Christ, the Holy Catholic Church, must pass through fire before she can shine again. Inside the Vatican, factions whisper, plot, and resist. Some wear smiles at the papal audiences, but behind closed doors, they fear him. They fear Pope Leo XIV because he does not belong to them. He is not controlled by the old alliances, not chained by the old debts. He listens, he studies, he waits, and then he strikes with precision. That is why his first appointment shook the Curia. Archbishop Filippo Iannoni, now prefect of the Dicastery for Bishops, was not just a choice, it was a message. The Pope will decide who leads the Church. Not them, not the hidden factions. Not the old powers who believe they own the keys. And yet, even as Leo moves, the enemy counters. Deepfake images flood the digital world, grotesque imitations of the Holy Father. To most, it looks like internet noise. To the discerning, it looks like diabolical strategy. Because if the shepherd's image is defiled, the flock begins to scatter. Lies are not accidents, they are weapons. And the weapon aimed at the papacy is not new. It is as old as Eden. Deception, confusion, division. The Pope knows this. Which is why he turned to the exorcists. His message, your work is necessary, delicate. Think of those words. Necessary, delicate. A quiet but thunderous warning. Evil is increasing, possession is rising, and the Church's warriors of deliverance must prepare for a wave like never before. Some priests trembled when they heard him. Others felt strengthened, armed, ready. For the battle is not only in the streets, it is in the soul of the Church. But listen, Leo XIV is not only a warrior, he is a father. To the Jesuits of La Civiltà Cattolica, he said, transmit hope. In a world of despair, transmit hope. In a time of lies, transmit hope. In an hour of shaking, transmit hope. Why? Because hope is the flame the enemy cannot extinguish. Hope is what will carry the faithful through the fire. And then, the sick. For 2026, he gave the theme, the compassion of the Samaritan, loving by bearing the pain of the other. Why would a pope emphasize bearing pain? Because he knows the Church will be called to bear pain. The bride must be bruised, so she can be purified. The sick will not be forgotten. But through them the healthy will learn sacrifice. And China, oh China, 2 dioceses dissolved, 1 new diocese created. On paper it looked bureaucratic, but in Heaven's book it was prophetic. The Church in Asia is being rearranged, like pieces on a chessboard before a decisive strike. The papacy is not just adjusting maps, it is preparing for confrontation. But what comes next is what chills Rome's marble corridors. A curial overhaul, yes, a purge. Entire offices may be merged, others dismantled. Old names removed, hidden shadows dragged into the light. Some whisper that certain cardinals already feel the ground beneath them trembling. And when the shake comes, it will not be gentle. And then, the digital crusade. Imagine it. The papacy entering the platforms of the world. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, not as entertainment, but as prophecy. The Pope himself has warned of AI's dangers. But what if the Vatican's next weapon is faith unleashed through the very networks the enemy thought he controlled? Imagine the word of Christ breaking into the feeds of billions, faith clashing with vanity, light clashing with darkness. The rumors grow louder. Unknown bishops from remote lands, men nobody has heard of, may soon be raised to the scarlet of cardinals. The balance of power would shift overnight. Europe would tremble, Asia and Africa would rise. The next conclave, forever changed, but then the most apocalyptic whisper, that Pope Leo XIV has been entrusted with something more than governance, that hidden within his soul burns a vision, a secret, a revelation too heavy for ordinary times, that one day soon, perhaps even this October, the Pope will speak of the Antichrist, not as speculation, but as certainty. And when that day comes, the whole world will divide, because the Catholic Church is not just a human institution, it is the bride of Christ. And the bride is entering her purification. The papacy is not just a throne, it is the rock, battered by storms, but never destroyed. Yet the rock itself may bleed before it shines again. Factions inside the Vatican whisper against him. Some dream of compromise, others of rebellion. Some long for a softer church, one that bows to the world. But Leo XIV, he was not elected for softness. He was chosen for fire. and the fire he brings will burn away illusions, expose corruption, reveal truth. 10 changes already, and the number will grow. Each one a signal, each one a trumpet blast. The faithful must read the signs. The bride must awaken. The hour of shaking is here, and what is hidden in the Vatican's vaults, in the Pope's heart, in the plans of heaven itself, has not yet been revealed. But soon the world will see, because Pope Leo XIV has already changed the Church. And what he changes next could change the world. The Catholic Church is trembling, not with weakness, but with power. Power hidden, power rising, power about to break into the open. The papacy, the throne of Peter, is no longer simply a seat of governance. Under Pope Leo XIV, it has become a battlefield. Every decision, every appointment, every word he utters, is a sword stroke in a war most Catholics cannot even see. Already, 10 changes have shaken Rome. But behind these 10 lies a pattern, a divine signature, a secret design that is bigger than policies, bigger than politics, bigger even than the Vatican itself. For the bride of Christ, the Holy Catholic Church, is stepping into her purification. And what purifies is never soft. It is fire. Look closely. Each change looks ordinary, until you peel back the veil. A bishop appointed? No. A power structure disrupted. A deepfake exposed? No. A demonic deception unmasked. A message to exorcists? No. A trumpet call to war. A word of hope? No. A warning that despair will be the weapon of the Antichrist. A theme for the sick? No. A prophecy that pain will be the path to glory. A diocesan reorganization in China? No. A rearrangement of armies before the final clash. Do you see it? Do you feel it? These are not random choices. These are the tremors before the quake, and inside the Vatican, shadows whisper. Cardinals divided. Old alliances splintering. Hidden factions trembling. Some smile at the Pope during liturgies, but in the corridors they grind their teeth. Why? Because they know he is not theirs. Pope Leo XIV is not bound by their compromises, not chained by their debts. He belongs to someone higher. He belongs to the one who said, "Upon this rock I will build my church." The battle is intensifying. Even technology is weaponized. Deepfakes are not accidents. They are snares, illusions, diabolical lies. The serpent learned long ago that if you corrupt the image of the shepherd, you scatter the flock. And today, the serpent has found new tools, algorithms, networks, artificial intelligence. But even in this digital darkness, the light of Peter shines. This is why the Pope spoke to the exorcists. Necessary, delicate. 2 words, but words that carry thunder. He knows evil is no longer content to hide in shadows. Evil is stepping into the open. And only a church awake, a church armed, a church purified will withstand it. Yet the Pope does not leave us in fear. He speaks of hope. Hope transmitted, hope proclaimed, hope alive. Because hope is not a feeling, it is a weapon. Hope is the light the enemy cannot extinguish, and then the theme for the sick. The compassion of the Samaritan, loving by bearing the pain of the other. This is not a slogan. It is a prophecy. The church will be called to bear pain. The bride will bleed, but in her bleeding she will be made pure and China. Do not underestimate it. What looked like bureaucratic change was actually strategic war. Dioceses dissolved, boundaries redrawn, a new diocese erected. Why? Because Asia is a battlefield the world has forgotten. And Pope Leo XIV knows the bride must be prepared where the storm will be fiercest. But here is where the whispers grow terrifying. A curial purge is coming. Factions that thought themselves untouchable will fall. Names the world respects may be dragged into scandal. Entire offices may crumble. Because purification does not spare the powerful. It exposes them first. And the digital crusade. Oh, the digital crusade. The same platforms used to spread vanity, lust, deception, may soon carry prophecy, fire, truth. Imagine the papacy on every phone, every screen, every feed. Imagine the words of Peter's successor colliding with the world's distractions. The clash is inevitable, and still deeper rumors flow, that Pope Leo XIV will raise unknown bishops from the farthest lands. Men hidden in obscurity will suddenly wear scarlet. The balance of power will tilt. The next conclave, forever changed. Some whisper this is his true strategy, not just to rule today, but to plant the seeds of tomorrow. But the most apocalyptic rumor, the one Rome itself barely dares to whisper, is that Pope Leo XIV carries a secret. A vision, a revelation. that in his heart burns a prophecy too great for ordinary times, and that soon, perhaps even in the coming weeks, he will speak of the Antichrist, not as a distant legend, but as a present reality. And when that day comes, the world will divide, because the Catholic Church is not just in transition. She is in travail. The bride of Christ is not being dressed for comfort. She is being prepared for war. The papacy itself is no longer a throne, it is a battlefield. And Leo XIV is the general heaven has placed at the front. Every move he makes shakes the powers of this world. Every word he speaks echoes in eternity. Every silence he holds terrifies the factions that seek to control him, for they do not know what he knows. They do not see what he sees. Ten changes already, and yet these 10 are only the beginning. Each one is a trumpet, each one a warning, each one a call to awaken. The bride of Christ must awaken. The faithful must awaken, because the hour is not coming. It is here. And just when the world thinks it understands what Pope Leo XIV is doing, a twist will come that no one foresaw, for it will not be a document, not an appointment, not a reorganization. The true shock will be his silence. A silence so heavy it will terrify the nations. A silence that will last not hours, not days, but 40 days. A papal fast, a papal retreat, a papal disappearance from the world stage. And when he returns, he will carry in his hands a message not written by men, but by heaven itself. That is the epic turn, the twist no one expects. The Pope's greatest change will not be what he says, but when he does not speak. And in the silence, heaven will thunder. Because Pope Leo XIV is not merely changing policies. He is preparing the world for revelation, for fire, for purification, for the return of the King, and when the silence ends, the world will never be the same again.